In the fall of 1909, the Arkansas hills glowed in burnt oranges and rusty reds. 16-year-old Elias Carter sat in the back of a rattling wagon, clutching his mother's old satchel, the only thing he had left of her. His father, Thomas Carter, drove forward with stern determination, hoping a fresh start would quiet their grief. Their destination, a small logging town named Marrow Creek, tucked deep in the Ozark foothills. Thomas had gotten a job at a lumber mill. Elias was to attend the one-room schoolhouse. As the wagon bounced along a forgotten trail, they passed a group of locals. One man leaned toward Elias and whispered harshly, "If you see a cabin with red window frames, don't go inside. Folks who enter come out different." Elias waited for a laugh that never came. The man simply crossed himself. His father pretended not to hear, but his hands gripped the reins tighter. Elias looked back, and a cold wind hissed between the trees like a warning. Marrow Creek was small, too small for someone trying to outrun memories. But as Elias helped unload supplies behind the modest cabin they now called home, a girl about his age approached. She had wind-tangled brown hair and sharp, curious eyes. "I'm Clara Whitaker," she grinned. "You're the new kid. I saw you earlier." Elias offered a shy nod. "Do you like ghost stories?" Clara asked, almost excited. Elias shrugged. "Depends." "Why?" She pointed toward a distant ridge where shadows clung to the tree line. "There's a cabin out there. Some call it the silent cabin. People go in and lose their voices." His chest tightened. "Forever?" She nodded solemnly. Thomas shouted for Elias to help inside, but Elias glanced once more at Clara. Something in her expression said she wasn't just telling a tale. She knew something. School at Marrow Creek was simple. Wooden desks, rough chalked alphabet boards, and a pot-bellied stove that smoked constantly. Their teacher, Miss Walton, welcomed Elias kindly. But when she asked the class to introduce themselves, a boy pointed at Elias and blurted, "He came from the East Road." He passed there. The room fell eerily silent. Miss Walton cleared her throat. "Children, some places are meant to be left alone." Clara shot Elias a knowing glance. During recess, a shy boy named Mason tugged Elias's sleeve. "My brother went to that cabin," he whispered. "He came back, but he can't talk no more. He tries, but only air comes out." Elias felt a chill crawl up his spine. The adults dismissed it as superstition. But the children? They believed. Days passed. Elias tried focusing on school and chores, but his curiosity kept tugging him toward those hills. One afternoon, Clara hurried up to him after class. "There's something I want to show you." She led him into the pines, deeper than he dared go alone. They reached a ridge overlooking a narrow clearing. And there it stood, a weather-warped cabin, its roof sagging, vines clutching the walls. But the window frames were red, bright, stark red. Elias's heartbeat hammered. "Do you hear that?" Clara whispered. At first, nothing. Then, faint, desperate breaths, like someone trying to speak through broken lungs. Elias stepped back, trembling. Clara grabbed his wrist. "We should go." They ran, not stopping until the clearing vanished behind the trees. That night, Elias couldn't sleep. His mind returned to the strange, hollow breaths he heard. So he slipped from bed, lit a lantern, and stepped outside. The wind swept through the forest like music without notes, flowing but voiceless. Elias imagined the cabin breathing, listening. He returned inside just as his father spotted him. "What on earth are you doing out there?" Thomas scolded. Elias hesitated. "Dad, what do you know about the silent cabin?" Thomas froze, a reaction too sharp to hide. "It's a place of tragedy," he muttered. "The less said, the better." Elias stared. "You know more." Thomas's eyes softened, defeat showing. Some stories hurt more when spoken aloud, son. But Elias wasn't convinced. Silence, it seemed, was part of the danger. Clara avoided him for 2 days, so Elias cornered her after school. "Why did you really take me there?" Clara's eyes glistened. "Because my mother disappeared there. 3 years ago." The words struck like thunder. "She went inside and never came out. Search parties found nothing. No footprints leaving the cabin." Elias swallowed, horrified. "Why me?" he asked. "Because you're not afraid to ask questions," Clara said. "Everyone else is too scared to even look." Her voice cracked, raw pain leaking through her usual bravado. Elias gently replied, "We'll find out what happened to her. I promise." Clara's shoulders trembled. She wasn't used to hope. Mason approached Elias the next morning, pale, shaking. "My brother, he's worse. He's—" forgetting words now. Not just his voice. His memories too. Elias felt sick. Miss Walton called Mason inside, but before he left, Mason whispered one more chilling thing. "When he sleeps, he mouths a name. Clara." Elias felt his world tilt. Clara's mother. Mason's brother. Were they connected? He had to know more, even if the truth was terrifying. Elias told Clara what Mason had said. Instead of fear, her expression hardened, resolve sharpening like flint. "Then we go tonight." Elias blinked. "Go where?" Clara stared toward the hills. "To the cabin. We'll find answers. Or bring back proof." My mother deserves that. Elias hesitated, remembering the ominous warning, the strange breathing, his father's fear. But he couldn't abandon her. Not now. He exhaled shakily. "All right, but we go prepared." They gathered rope, lanterns, and a hammer. Anything that felt useful. Elias tucked his mother's satchel beneath his coat for courage. Just before sunset, they slipped away from town, not knowing if they'd ever speak again. By the time they reached the ridge, night had swallowed the forest. The moon hung low, as if warning them to turn back. Clara's lantern flickered nervously. The cabin loomed before them, a blackened mouth waiting to devour whatever dared approach. Elias grabbed Clara's hand. "On 3, he whispered. 1, 2, 3. He pushed the door open. It groaned, like a low wail from something ancient and suffering. Inside smelled of dust, earth, and something coldly metallic. A fireplace full of charred paper, a broken chair, and a table scratched with symbols that hurt Elias's eyes to look at. Then, a whisper, not spoken. Thought, "Leave, before you lose what little voice remains." Clara gasped, clutching her throat. Her voice faltered when she tried to speak. Elias pulled her close. "We're not leaving," he growled. "Not yet." Even as terror surged through him, Elias scanned the shadows, his lantern sweeping slowly. And then he saw her. A woman sat hunched in the far corner, hair hanging like a curtain over her face. Pale hands rested limply on her knees. Her shoulders rose and fell with shallow, silent breaths. Clara staggered forward, tears already forming. "Mother?" The woman didn't react. Clara touched her arm, and the woman flinched violently, her head snapping upward. Her mouth opened wide, too wide, but no scream came out. Only a soundless cry, a cry full of torment. Clara collapsed in Elias's arms, choking as if her voice were being pulled from her throat. Elias shouted, "Stop! What do you want?" The woman lifted a shaking finger and pointed directly at the red windows. Everything inside Elias screamed, "The cabin feeds on voices. It traps souls in silence." And they were next. Clara clawed at her throat, panic flooding her eyes. Elias grabbed her shoulders, trying to steady her breathing, but fear choked them both. The woman, Clara's mother, kept pointing toward the red frames, trembling violently. Elias turned the lantern beam toward the nearest window. The red paint wasn't paint at all. It dripped when the light touched it, thick and dark. Blood. Elias stumbled backward. The walls pulsed like living flesh. The air grew heavy, as if the cabin itself inhaled their fear. A sudden, invisible force yanked Clara from his arms, dragging her toward the red frame. "No!" Elias lunged, gripping her hand. Her silent scream tore the night. The cabin wanted her voice, her soul. Elias forced himself to breathe, to think. His mother's satchel. He fumbled it open. Inside, her old music box, engraved with the initials AC. His mother always said, "Music gives courage a voice." He wound the crank with shaking fingers. A soft lullaby spilled out, delicate but defiant. The cabin shuddered. The force dragging Clara weakened, just enough. Elias pulled her free, collapsing onto the dirt floor with her in his arms. Clara's mother watched, a flicker of humanity in her hollow eyes. The silence around them cracked, like ice warming. Elias whispered, "We're here to help you. Please, show us how." The woman staggered toward the fireplace, pointing at the pile of charred papers. Elias lifted a half-burned page. She took their voices so they would not speak her pain. Beneath it, a name, Martha Lyle. Clara's mother said the name with her eyes. The cabin's ghost had a story, a wound, and it demanded to be heard. Through Clara's mother's gestures and charred journal fragments, a tragic history unfolded. Martha Lyle once lived in this cabin with her infant daughter. Her husband, a logger, never returned from the hills. Grief drowned her. She screamed prayers, pleads, curses, but no one listened. Her voice felt useless. One night, she smothered her baby's cries, because silence felt safer. Villagers found the tiny grave. They blamed Martha's madness, tied her to the trees outside. Her final screams, unheard, turned into a curse. "If my pain is ignored, then all who enter here will know my silence." Her restless soul fed on voices, stealing the power she lost. Elias's heartbeat pounded with understanding. This wasn't just a haunting. It was loneliness turned to hunger. Clara's mother collapsed in anguish, digging fragile fingers into the dirt, as if searching for hope buried long ago. Elias realized she wasn't trying to harm Clara. She was trying to protect her from Martha's wrath. Elias knelt beside her. "We want to help you go home. Please, guide us." The silent woman touched Elias's cheek, then pointed toward the door and the woods beyond. A single tear slipped from her pale eyes. Clara found her voice in broken whispers. "She wants us to leave her behind." Elias shook his head. "No, we're not abandoning her. Not after everything he stood." Fear replaced with determination. "If voices are what Martha wanted, then I'll give her one." Elias lifted the music box again, letting the lullaby fill the cabin. Then he did something he hadn't done since his mother died. He sang. His voice, shaky but brave, carried the lullaby into the walls, the floorboards, the red windows pulsing like beating hearts. Clara joined, her voice soft with renewed strength. Their voices wove together, fragile threads stitching through Martha's sorrow. The cabin trembled. Dust fell from the rafters. The red paint boiled. A figure materialized. A woman with hollow eyes and tangled hair stuck to her tear-stained face. Martha. Her mouth opened, but only despair poured out. Elias stepped forward. "You're heard now. We hear you. We feel you." The room fell still, as if the cabin itself held breath to listen. Martha stared, and for the first time, not as a monster, but a mother who had lost everything. Clara whispered, "Your child didn't deserve to die in silence." Those words cut deeper than any scream. Martha crumbled, her knees hitting the floor. A soundless sob shook her entire being. Elias extended his hand. "Let us help you find her." Lights flickered throughout the room, dozens of trapped voices swirling like fireflies. Martha looked to Clara's mother, two mothers bound by grief. Clara's mother nodded, giving Martha permission to let go. In that moment, the walls exhaled. The red windows faded back to natural wood. The air grew light, breathable. A baby's coo echoed gently. Martha's eyes widened, filled with love and relief. Silence was no longer punishment, it was peace. And then she vanished. The cabin's spirit released its prisoners, including Clara's mother. But freedom carried a cost. Clara's mother collapsed, her body weak and brittle from years of silence. Elias caught her, lowering her gently. Clara sobbed, "Mama, please stay with me. I found you." Her mother cupped Clara's face, smiling with aching pride. She spoke, voice barely a breath. "You gave me back my voice," and she slipped away, quiet, serene, finally home. Clara screamed, raw heartbreak filling the air with what the ghost had stolen for so long, but Elias held her tight. Sometimes endings are not happy, but they are right. They laid Clara's mother to rest beneath the pines, sunlight breaking through the clouds as if the world itself sighed in relief. Elias and Clara returned to Marrow Creek, exhausted shadows of who they once were. The townsfolk, stunned by their survival, gathered around them. Mason's brother, once silent, ran forward. "Did you do it?" "It's gone. The quiet in my head is gone." He threw his arms around Elias and Clara, laughing through tears. Elias noticed, when the boy spoke Clara's name now, it was with gratitude, not fear. Silence no longer hunted, it healed. Weeks passed. Elias and Clara grew closer, not out of fear but shared strength. Thomas hugged his son one evening, something he hadn't done since Elias's mother died. "You gave me my voice back too," he said quietly. Elias finally let his grief flow, and with it, the words he'd been too afraid to say. "I miss her, Dad." "I miss her too." Their voices didn't break, they finally mended. As for Clara, she visited her mother's resting place every day, telling her stories, because now she knew every voice matters, even when broken. One final time, Elias returned to the ridge. The cabin, now sunlit and ordinary, stood quietly. The music box still played inside. Gentle, everlasting. He placed it on the table, whispering, "Thank you for listening." The cabin no longer breathed menace, only memory. Elias stepped outside, closing the door behind him. He looked at Clara, waiting for him on the path home. "Ready?" she asked softly. Elias smiled, voice strong and sure. "Yeah, I am." They walked away, not in silence, but in a harmony born from courage, where even the quietest souls were finally heard, and the hills of Arkansas never swallowed another voice again.